Breaking news! There's been a major shift in the trenches for the Baltimore Ravens, and it might just be one of the most overlooked but critical moves of the entire offseason. A seasoned veteran steps in to fill a void left by a fan favorite, and while not everyone is talking about it yet, this move could quietly define how dominant the Ravens defense will be in 2025. But before we move on, make sure you hit that like button if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages supporting this team. And if you feel like it, comment, "Go Ravens," right now to show your pride. Let's get into it. With the final pieces of the 2025 Ravens roster starting to fall into place, Eric DeCosta is still at work, reinforcing areas that could prove vital late in the season. One of those areas is the defensive line, an already stacked unit now made even deeper by the addition of 35-year-old defensive tackle John Jenkins. Signed over the weekend, Jenkins may not be a household name, but his presence addresses a critical need following the offseason retirement of Michael Pierce, a move that left a gaping hole, literally and figuratively, at the center of the Ravens' defense. Pierce's departure was perhaps the biggest loss of the Ravens' offseason. While other names like Brandon Stevens and Patrick McCrary may have drawn attention, none carried the same weight on the field and in the locker room as Pierce. But DeCosta didn't panic. He didn't chase a headline-grabbing superstar. Instead, he found a reliable, experienced run-stopper with a track record of availability and consistency, exactly the type of veteran presence the Ravens needed. Jenkins, who spent the last 2 seasons with the Raiders, played in all 17 games last year, logging 600 snaps and racking up over 100 tackles across 2 seasons. He's not here to be the next Aaron Donald. He's not even trying to be Michael Pierce. What he brings is toughness, reliability, and the ability to absorb double teams, a crucial trait that frees up linebackers like Roquan Smith to make plays. He's had a sack in each of his last 2 seasons, but make no mistake, he's not being brought in to rush the passer. He's here for early downs, short yardage situations, and to anchor a defensive front that already includes Justin Matabike, Travis Jones, Broderick Washington, and rookie Honest Peebles. This move is about situational strength. Jenkins will likely rotate in for early down run support, allowing more explosive interior rushers like Matabike and Peebles to shine on passing downs. Peebles, while a fan favorite draft pick, is undersized for a true nose tackle role. Jenkins gives the Ravens a player who can do the dirty work in the middle, something Baltimore's defense can't survive without. The unit now includes Matabike, who continues to be the centerpiece of the interior line after a breakout season, Travis Jones, who's a candidate to take a major step forward, Broderick Washington, who's still trying to live up to the contract extension he signed, and Peebles, a talented rookie who will need to be used carefully. Jenkins slides in perfectly. He's not going to steal the spotlight, but he'll eat blockers, fill gaps, and give the Ravens a reliable option when they need to stop the run. It also opens up flexibility elsewhere. The Ravens could experiment with bigger edge players like Tavius Robinson inside on early downs. Or, if the team decides to take a flyer on a veteran like Jadeveon Clowney, whose name has been floated, they'll have even more options for how to use Jenkins situationally. What's most important here is that the Ravens didn't panic. They didn't overspend. They didn't reach. They waited, assessed the market, and found the right guy for the job. For a team that's already loaded with high-end talent on both sides of the ball, filling the role of space eater in the trenches with a steady veteran is exactly what this roster needed. So Ravens fans, here's the question. Do you think John Jenkins can fill the massive void left by Michael Pierce? Or should the Ravens have gone after someone younger or more explosive? Let me know in the comments. While the addition of John Jenkins might not have lit up social media, it reflects something much deeper about this Baltimore Ravens organization, an identity built on physicality, patience, and calculated roster construction. Jenkins isn't coming in to be flashy, he's coming in to be functional. And that's exactly why this move should not be overlooked. The Ravens don't need another Pro Bowler at defensive tackle, they already have that in Justin Matabike. What they needed was someone who could line up on first and second down, clog the interior, and keep offensive lines honest. Jenkins checks every one of those boxes. His signing signals trust in the rest of the defensive line to handle more nuanced roles while he focuses purely on the dirty work. And let's be clear, very few do that dirty work as well or as consistently as John Jenkins. But what does this mean for the rest of the line? Let's dig into that rotation. Justin Matabike remains the centerpiece. After a season where he dealt with more double teams than ever, his production dipped slightly, but that's misleading. He was still a disruptor and commanded constant attention. With Jenkins now able to soak up some of those interior blocks, Matabike might finally get more one-on-one looks, and we all know what that means. Expect a resurgence in his sack numbers and backfield disruptions if Jenkins can hold the point effectively. Travis Jones is another name to watch closely. A fan favorite with legitimate breakout potential, Jones has shown flashes of dominance. With another offseason under his belt and now less pressure to be the primary run stopper, Jones can focus on sharpening his technique and becoming the three-down threat the Ravens hoped for when they drafted him. Then there's Broderick Washington. Still trying to live up to the deal he signed, Washington hasn't quite delivered the way Baltimore expected. But with Jenkins taking some of the early down pounding, Washington may find his groove as a rotational piece rather than a starter. That shift in responsibility could do wonders for his efficiency and confidence. And finally, Honest Peebles. One of the most exciting rookies from this year's draft, Peebles brings explosiveness and pass rush upside that this group sorely needs in specific situations. But he's undersized and not equipped to take on double teams or anchor against the run consistently. That's fine, because now he doesn't have to. With Jenkins on board, Peebles can focus on doing what he does best, using his quickness to shoot gaps and disrupt quarterbacks in obvious passing downs. This kind of specialization, where each piece fits into a defined role, is what takes a good unit and makes it great. The Ravens have built depth across the line that allows them to mix and match personnel based on the situation. Need a goal line stop? Jenkins, Jones, and Mattabike. Third and long? Mattabike, Peebles, and a potential interior look from a bigger edge like Tavius Robinson. That flexibility is what makes this group so dangerous. It's not just about having talent, it's about using that talent correctly. And now, with Jenkins anchoring the early downs, Baltimore's coaching staff has far more options when it comes to game planning and in-game adjustments. Also worth noting is that Jenkins' availability over the past 2 seasons can't be overstated. In a league where injuries devastate depth every year, knowing you have a guy who has logged 600 snaps in back-to-back seasons is a major advantage. This isn't a flyer on an aging vet who struggled to stay healthy. Jenkins is reliable, durable, and still, somehow, underrated. Now zoom out. Take a look at the full picture. The Ravens have gone from a potential defensive liability with the loss of Pierce to a restructured line that arguably has more versatility and strategic upside. Jenkins isn't a superstar, but he's the kind of piece that championship rosters are built on: veteran leadership, defined role, no nonsense. So as training camp approaches, one of the biggest questions becomes this: how does Mike Macdonald deploy this group to maximize every ounce of talent? Can the Ravens' defensive line be even more disruptive without Michael Pierce than they were with him? That's the story to watch. If this unit gels, if Jenkins does his job and the rest of the line steps into their roles without hesitation, this defense could once again be among the most feared in the league. And don't forget, we're just getting started on the final shape of this Ravens roster. There's more to come, including the David Ohabo situation, the addition of an intriguing undrafted edge rusher, and the debate that's heating up among fans and analysts alike. Is this the best roster Lamar Jackson has had in his entire career? Be sure to subscribe, like if you haven't already, and check out the next video on the screen. Go Ravens!